waited at the front desk, heart racing as he stared at the polished floors of the corporate office. The bright lights reflected off the surfaces, creating a blinding glow that made him squint. Jack had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The big interview was finally here and everything felt surreal. As he glanced at the clock on the wall, it felt like time was moving too slowly. Today was important. He had dreamed of working for this tech company ever since he'd first heard about it in college. The logo, a bold triangle, stood for innovation and success. Jack knew landing this job would change his life. The receptionist, an older woman with thick glasses perched on her nose, was tapping away at her keyboard. She glanced up at him, her eyes narrowed behind the lenses. She asked, her voice thick with indifference. "Yes, ma'am," he replied, forcing a smile despite the churning in his stomach. She pointed toward the waiting area, a section filled with sleek chairs and colorful art hanging on the walls. "Just have a seat." Those words could hold so much weight. CEO, a big title, a big name. Jack imagined what it must be like to walk in their shoes, enough power to change lives with just a single decision. But he also knew that person must be human too, perhaps even flawed like him. As he sat down, he noticed a group of other candidates milling about. They were dressed sharply, minds buzzing with last-minute thoughts. Jack tried to peer into their eyes, searching for the same anxiousness he felt. Instead, he saw determination and confidence glimmering back at him. Every few minutes, he would check his reflection in a nearby glass wall, hoping to project calmness. "You've got this," he whispered to himself, but the doubt crept back. What if he didn't have enough experience? What if they asked a question he couldn't answer? He had practiced all the common questions, but what if they threw him a curveball? In moments like these, the mind tends to wander. Jack envisioned himself, day by day, working in that very office. He imagined planning projects, leading meetings, and eventually making an impact. What a relief it would be to escape that dead-end job he had now. He caught a glimpse of his reflection again and took a deep breath, focusing on the moment. Suddenly, the digital clock on the wall ticked down to the hour. The receptionist looked up, her brow furrowing as she pressed a button on her phone. "Mr. Delgado will be down in a moment." Every muscle in Jack's body tensed. Was this it, the moment that could define his future? He felt like a puppet, strung tight with anticipation, ready to spring into action. And then he heard footsteps echoing in the hall. Click, clack, click. Jack turned his head slowly to the side, each beat of the footsteps amplifying the fear and excitement tangled inside him. The air grew heavy and every breath felt significant, carrying the weight of his dreams. He saw the CEO walking briskly toward them. Mr. Delgado was charismatic, dressed in a sleek suit that only someone of his status could pull off. Confidence radiated off him like heat waves from pavement. He waved casually, a smile spreading across his face. "Good morning, everyone." Jack's heart raced as Mr. Delgado approached. The man's eyes scanned the room, and when they landed on him, it felt as if time stopped. Jack was struck by a surge of hope mixed with nerves. Would he leave a mark on the mind of someone so important? Would he be enough? Mr. Delgado extended his hand, the warmth of his grip surprising. The moment had come. Jack swallowed hard, trying to suppress the lump in his throat and nodding slowly. They walked toward the interview room. Jack felt the walls close in around him. With each step, he fought the impulse to retreat. This was what he wanted, wasn't it? This was his pathway to a brighter tomorrow. Inside the room, the atmosphere shifted instantly. A long table stretched between them and two chairs sat facing one another under a large window. Sunlight streamed in, bathing the space in golden light. Jack took a seat, Mr. Delgado opposite him, a calm smile maintaining his confident facade. "Tell me about yourself," Mr. Delgado began, his voice steady. Jack launched into his scripted narrative, touching on his education, job experiences, and ambitions. As the words rolled off his tongue, he tried to gauge Mr. Delgado's reaction. The CEO remained focused, nodding ever so slightly, giving nothing away. Yet somewhere inside Jack's mind, a nagging thought flickered. Was he losing the connection? Was he just another wave lapping at a shore that had seen too many tides? But Mr. Jack paused, uncertainty momentarily clouding his thoughts. This felt more personal. He shook off the doubt and took a deep breath, leaning forward. "I believe in what this company stands for. I've followed your products since the beginning, and I want to contribute to something bigger than myself." Jack could see something shift in Mr. Delgado's expression. His smile widened, but then his gaze turned more serious. Jack could feel the weight of the question. Success was rarely a straight path. It curved and twisted, filled with obstacles. "I think it takes not just skill, but also resilience." Mr. Delgado leaned back, his eyes narrowing in thought. Jack caught a glimpse of respect in his gaze, and for a fleeting second, Jack felt lighter. This was it. He was becoming a part of this conversation, breaking down barriers. What followed was a fluid exchange of ideas. Jack shared his vision, and Mr. Delgado responded, challenging his thoughts while respecting them. Jack felt invigorated, and with each passing moment, the interview transformed from a one-sided interrogation into a genuine dialogue. After a long discussion, Mr. Delgado placed his hands flat on the table. "You have insight, Jack, and ambition. That's rare. But remember, ambition alone won't take you far." Jack nodded, absorbing every word. The walls of the room felt like they were melting away, replaced by a world of potential. Mr. Delgado continued, sharing stories from his own early days, revealing the struggles he'd faced. Jack leaned in closer, captivated by the tale of hard work, sacrifice, and failure. Suddenly, it wasn't just an interview. It became a mentor-mentee moment, a bridge between their experiences. Jack felt a wave of inspiration wash over him. It seemed he was being invited into a community, not just a company. As the clock ticked on, time blurred. Eventually, Mr. Delgado leaned back in his chair, his demeanor shifting back to the businesslike tone. "Jack, it's been a pleasure getting to know you." The moment felt bittersweet. Hope hugged his heart compactly, while uncertainty receded to the background. "Thank you for this opportunity," Jack said, gathering his papers, his voice steady despite the swirling thoughts. As he stood to leave, Mr. Delgado reached out. "One last thing, Jack, don't ever underestimate the power of your story." Those words lingered in the air long after he had left the interview room. Outside, the sun felt warmer, almost as if the universe was giving him a gentle nudge. He hadn't gotten the job yet, but the experience had already changed him. Jack walked toward the front desk again, the noise of the outside world buzzing and alive. With every step, he could feel the weight of potential, a flicker of hope igniting within him. He realized that success wasn't just about climbing ladders or checking boxes. It was also about connection, authenticity, and courage. As he stepped outside, he took a deep breath, filling his lungs with promise. No matter what happened next, Jack understood that he had left an imprint, not only on Mr. Delgado, but more importantly, within himself. The journey was just beginning, and he felt ready to embrace whatever came next. He waited at the front desk, fingers tapping nervously against his thigh. The air was thick with the scent of polished wood and fresh coffee, blending into an intoxicating mix that filled him with both excitement and dread. Jack had always dreamed of this moment, yet standing there, anxiety wrapped around him like a heavy blanket, he felt the weight of 1,000 expectations. Every second felt stretched, as if time itself was taunting him. Outside, the sun hung high in the sky, its rays streaming through the massive glass windows, casting a warm glow across the sleek, modern lobby. Jack's heart raced, pounding like a drum against his ribcage. Would he be enough? Just breathe, he whispered to himself, but the words barely echoed above the chatter surrounding him. A group of candidates nearby seemed so confident, exchanging jokes and stories. Their laughter rang bright, a stark contrast to the storm brewing inside him. Jack shifted in his chair, trying to appear nonchalant while the reality of the moment weighed heavily. The receptionist, a sharp-eyed woman with impeccable posture, glanced at him. Her steel gray suit and perfectly arranged hair spoke of experience. She had likely seen hundreds of candidates like him over the years. She asked, her tone firm yet not unkind. "Yes, ma'am," Jack replied, forcing a smile. Words felt lodged in his throat, a rough lump rising with the intensity of nerves he couldn't quite shake. "Take a seat. The CEO will be down shortly," she said, returning to her computer screen with a practiced indifference. Jack settled into the plush chair, trying hard to appear calm. He glanced around, examining the artwork adorning the wall's bold colors, sweeping shapes that embodied innovation and creativity. Those artworks represented what he hoped to be a part of, but doubt crept back in. Did he really have it in him to become a piece of that vision? As he waited, he ran through a mental checklist. His resume, polished and printed, sat in his leather portfolio. He had rehearsed his introduction countless times, ironed out responses to potential questions, but something felt off today. Perhaps it was the significance of this moment that rattled him. Jack's gaze drifted toward the large clock on the wall, its hands seeming to move so slowly. How many interviews had he been through in his life? How many times had he sat in similar chairs, waiting for similar moments? Each time had felt like a lifeline thrown into rough waters, yet the ache of uncertainty always returned. Just then, the elevator doors gleamed open and out stepped a figure that made time freeze. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Mr. Delgado, the CEO, exuded an air of confidence that pulsed through the room. He was tall, commanding, with sharp features that seemed to cut through the noise around him. Jack's heart raced. This was the man who held the power to change lives, including his. Mr. Delgado had built this company from the ground up, and with each step, he seemed to draw a magnetic aura that pulled everyone's attention. There was something almost electric about him. Mr. Delgado called, his voice rich and inviting. "Thanks for being here." The room erupted in a chorus of responses, but Jack felt as if he were in a bubble, disconnected from the eagerness swirling around him. He watched as Mr. Delgado's eyes flitted around, absorbing each candidate before settling on Jack. Those piercing eyes seemed to see right through him, peeling away layers of self-doubt in an instant. Mr. Delgado approached him with an outstretched hand, and for a brief moment, everything outside melted away. Jack reached out, his hand connecting with the CEO's strong grasp. A wave of warmth surged through him, and the very contact felt like an invitation into a world of possibility. "Yes, sir," he managed, his voice steadier than he'd expected. "Let's talk," Mr. Delgado said, leading him toward a sleek conference room that gleamed with sophistication. As Jack entered, the room felt alive with energy, a blend of hope, opportunity, and the ever-present specter of fear. The table was long, a polished surface that reflected the bright lights overhead. Jack took his seat, his palms pressed against his thighs as he tried to rein in the whirlwind of thoughts swirling in his mind. This was it, the moment that could define everything. "Tell me about yourself, Jack," Mr. Delgado began, his expression serious yet encouraging. Jack swallowed hard, and at that moment, a surge of adrenaline pushed him forward. "I graduated with a degree in marketing." You could feel his confidence growing as he spoke, each word pushing away the shadows of self-doubt. Mr. Delgado leaned forward, interest peaked. This wasn't just a question, it was a challenge, a chance to dig deeper. "I believe this company is at the forefront of shaping the future. I followed your recent projects closely, and I admire your commitment to innovation. I want to be part of that journey, to contribute ideas that can make a real impact," Jack said, feeling increasingly alive as he spoke. Mr. Delgado smiled, nodding thoughtfully. "Impact is essential, but Jack, let's be real, it's a tough industry." Jack felt a spark of clarity crystallize in his mind. It's more than just skill, it's about resilience. Everyone faces setbacks, but it's how we get back up that defines us. Mr. Delgado's eyes glimmered with appreciation. Jack sensed a connection forming. Their dialogue wasn't merely an interview, but something deeper, a mutual exchange of beliefs and values. The earlier weight on his shoulders began to lift, replaced by a resonance of understanding. "Let me share something," Mr. Delgado said, leaning back in his chair. "When I started, I faced more challenges than I could count. I struggled, made mistakes, but each time I learned something crucial." Jack leaned in closer, captivated by the CEO's words. The strength and vulnerability harmonized beautifully, creating an environment where honesty flourished. He felt as if he were no longer just a candidate, but a participant in something much larger. "Tell me about a time when you faced a major challenge, Jack," Mr. Delgado asked, breaking the sudden silence that enveloped them. In that moment, Jack felt the storm inside him settle. He recalled a recent project where everything had gone wrong, a critical launch that had needed a complete overhaul at the very last minute. The panic, the clock ticking, he could almost feel the sweat he had wiped from his brow. "I remember thinking we wouldn't meet the deadline," he recalled. "But instead of curling up in a ball of despair, we regrouped, tried new strategies. We learned to listen to feedback, pivot quickly, and ultimately launched successfully." Mr. Delgado nodded with insight, his eyes glinting. "That's exactly it." Jack sensed the shifting dynamic in the room, the conversation evolving from a simple interview into a real connection. As the clock on the wall ticked down, time seemed to bend. Each question and answer flowed seamlessly, creating a rhythm that resonated deep within him. Hours could have passed, yet only minutes had slipped away. Their exchange felt like a dance, spontaneous and alive. Mr. Delgado's voice, filled with authority and warmth, pushed Jack to delve deeper, illuminating thoughts he had not even known he possessed. Finally, the conversation shifted again. Mr. Delgado's tone was softer now, almost contemplative. Jack thought carefully, considering the trajectory he envisioned for himself. "I want to evolve to lead. I see myself spearheading campaigns that not only drive results but also inspire my team." The CEO studied him intently, as if weighing the truth of Jack's ambitions. He asked, his voice steady yet probing. This was the pivotal question, the moment that could tip the scales. "Because I bring passion and authenticity. I don't just want to join a company, I want to grow with it. I believe in collaboration and cultivating an environment where ideas can flourish." Mr. Delgado sat back, crossing his arms, a grin forming as he considered Jack's words. "You've impressed me today, Jack. But know this success doesn't come easy." Jack felt a rush of hope and gratitude. As the conversation drew to a close, Mr. Delgado leaned in, his voice dropping to a more personal tone. "One last piece of advice, always stay curious. The best ideas often come from asking the right questions." Jack nodded, feeling the words wash over him. This had become more than just an interview. It was a moment of revelation, a seed of ambition planted deeply within him. After a final round of questions, Mr. Delgado stood, extending his hand again. "Thank you for coming in today." As Jack walked out of the room, he could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins. The receptionist offered a polite nod, but his mind was elsewhere, replaying the conversation like a treasured memory. Stepping back into the lobby, the world outside seemed brighter, alive with potential. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of hope settle inside him. Regardless of the outcome, this experience had changed him. Jack stepped into the sunlight, ready to embrace whatever came next. In that moment, something profound had shifted. He wasn't just waiting at the front desk anymore. He was positioned at the gates of opportunity, armed with newfound purpose. Life wouldn't always be easy, but he felt ready to face it all, one step at a time. He waited at the front desk, fingers drumming nervously against the sleek surface of his portfolio. The corporate lobby was grand, buzzing with a palpable energy that both excited and terrified him. Jack had rehearsed for this moment every night leading up to it. Each scenario, every response perfected in front of the mirror. Yet now, with the towering glass walls surrounding him, he felt smaller than ever. The receptionist, a woman with elegantly pinned hair and sharp glasses, glanced at him, her eyes flickering with a mix of curiosity and impatience. She asked, her tone clinical. "Yes, ma'am," he said, forcing a smile that masked the storm inside him. "Take a seat," she said, returning to her screen, her indifference a stark reminder of the high-stakes game he was playing. Jack settled into a chair, its soft leather enveloping him but offering no real comfort. He observed the other candidates milling around, their laughter seemingly effortless. Each conversation buzzed with confidence, and for a fleeting moment, he wondered if he belonged in such company. His eyes wandered around the lobby, adorned with artful displays, bold, abstract shapes that spoke of creativity and innovation. This place symbolized everything he aspired to be a part of, yet a creeping doubt stirred in the pit of his stomach. Did he have what it took? Was he just another hopeful in a sea of talent? Minutes felt like hours. Jack glanced at the large clock hanging on the wall, its ticking growing louder, an insistent reminder that time was slipping away. As the echoes of laughter faded, his thoughts spiraled. What if he stumbled over his words? What if he failed to impress the very person who could change the course of his life? And then, with a sudden hiss and a jolt, the elevator door slid open. A hush fell over the lobby as a tall figure stepped out. Time seemed to slow as Jack's heart raced. This was it, Mr. Delgado, the CEO, the man whose very presence had been spoken of in hushed tones in every corner of the company. Mr. Delgado commanded attention effortlessly, striding into the room with an air of purpose. Clad in a tailored suit that seemed to shimmer with authority, he was the type of leader people followed without question. His eyes, sharp and focused, scanned the lobby like a hawk surveying its territory. His voice boomed, warm yet assertive, and Jack felt a shudder of excitement run through him. "Thank you all for being here today." Jack shifted slightly, adrenaline pumping through his veins. He couldn't help but feel like he was standing on the edge of something monumental. Each heartbeat echoed in his ears as he caught Mr. Delgado's gaze. The CEO's eyes locked onto his, like a spotlight pinning him in place. For a split second, Jack felt exposed, as if all his hopes and fears were laid bare. Mr. Delgado's voice cut through the noise. With that, Jack stood, his legs momentarily shaky as he followed the CEO into a sleek conference room. The door shut soundlessly behind them, sealing them in a bubble of intensity. Inside, the walls bore innovative designs, and a long glass table reflected the bright overhead lights. Jack felt as if he were stepping into a realm of possibility, a place where dreams could either take flight or crash to the ground. "Please have a seat," Mr. Delgado said, gesturing toward one of the chairs. Jack settled in, his hands gripping the edge of the table as he took a deep breath. "Tell me about yourself," Mr. Delgado prompted, his eyes narrowing with interest. Jack opened his mouth, but the words felt lodged in his throat. He collected himself, recalling everything he had practiced. "I graduated from State University with a degree in marketing. I've spent 2 years working for a mid-sized firm where I led successful campaigns, connecting with audiences and increasing brand loyalty," he said, his voice firming up as he spoke. Mr. Delgado nodded, clearly engaged. This question had so many layers. Jack leaned in, feeling the heartbeat of the moment. "I've always admired this company for its commitment to innovation. I believe in your vision, and I want to be part of something that changes how we connect with people." Mr. Delgado's expression shifted, a flicker of recognition dancing across his face. "Projects that matter," he repeated thoughtfully. "That's crucial." Jack felt a spark ignite inside him. He had spent countless hours pondering the same question. It's not just talent, it's resilience, the willingness to adapt and learn from failures. The CEO leaned back, crossing his arms, the creases on his forehead deepening as he considered Jack's words. Jack inhaled sharply, his mind racing back to a pivotal moment in his recent job. There was a project where everything that could go wrong did. We had miscommunication within the team, deadlines were missed, and it felt like I was juggling a storm. Instead of giving up, we regrouped. We met to discuss what went wrong, identified the gaps, and worked together to turn it around. Mr. Delgado smiled, a genuine grin that lit up his face. "That's impressive," he said. Jack's heart swelled at the compliment. In that moment, it felt as if all his hard work, all those late nights of studying and strategizing, were finally paying off. The storm of self-doubt that had earlier threatened to overwhelm him began to settle. As their conversation continued, Jack found himself becoming more and more engaged. It was as if he had entered a different world, one filled with ideas and aspirations. Mr. Delgado challenged him, asked questions that cut straight to the core, pushing him to explore his beliefs and ambitions. "Jack," Mr. Delgado said, leaning in closer, "what sets you apart from the others?" This was the moment Jack had rehearsed countless times. "Because I don't just want a job, I want to be part of a mission. I want to bring passion and creativity to help foster an environment where everyone's ideas are valued." A thoughtful silence enveloped the room. Jack could feel the weight of those words hanging in the air, heavy with significance. Mr. Delgado studied him, and Jack felt like he was fully seen in that moment. "That's important," he finally said. The conversation deepened, evolving into a discussion about leadership styles, innovative thinking, and the importance of vulnerability in positions of authority. Jack felt a wave of inspiration as Mr. Delgado shared his own journey struggles, setbacks, and victories that shaped him. It became clear that this wasn't just a formal interview, it was a connection, a mentoring moment. Jack couldn't believe how alive he felt, how invigorated. Each spoken word sparked ideas and dreams that had lingered in the shadows for too long. As they wrapped up, Mr. Delgado leaned back, his expression serious yet warm. "I see potential in you, Jack, but the journey won't be easy." Jack's heart pounded with determination. "Yes, absolutely." "Good," Mr. Delgado said, extending his hand once more. "You've earned my respect today." The handshake felt electrifying. It was more than just a gesture, it was an acknowledgement of mutual respect. As Jack walked out of the room, the world outside felt different. The bright lobby that had once seemed intimidating now radiated with possibilities. The receptionist looked up as he exited, offering a smile that felt genuine. Jack stepped through the double doors, and for the first time he felt the weight of the approaching future not as a burden, but as an adventure. The sun bathed him in its warmth as he walked down the street, his heart still racing from the encounter. Jack's thoughts swirled like autumn leaves caught in a whirlwind. This wasn't just about the job, it was about growth, purpose, and the journey ahead. He had faced this defining moment, stood in front of the CEO, and spoke his truth. No matter the outcome, the experience had changed something in him. He could feel it in his bones, a flicker of confidence igniting a fire within him. As he walked, each step felt lighter and a smile broke across his face. Jack knew he had stepped into a new chapter of his life, ready to embrace the challenges ahead, no matter how daunting they might be. In the end, he had discovered that strength was not merely rooted in achievement, but in courage, honesty, and the willingness to connect deeply with others. He didn't just wait at the front desk. He had taken steps into a future filled with promise and potential, ready to shape his own path, one bold move at a time. He waited at the front desk, his heart pounding, hands clammy against the cool surface of the wooden table. The lobby was bustling, a blend of optimistic chatter and the click of high heels on polished floors creating a rhythm of anticipation. Jack's breath came in quickened bursts as he tried to calm the storm of nerves swirling within him. Today was the day, the moment he had envisioned countless times. The tall glass walls soared above him, a transparent enclosure that blurred the line between inside and outside. Sunlight streamed in, casting bright patches across the dark leather chairs, illuminating faces filled with hope. Jack glanced around, taking in the other candidates, each one dressed sharply, radiating confidence. Their laughter echoed with a camaraderie he felt too distant to join. He wondered if they were equally anxious underneath their polished exteriors. Taking a deep breath, Jack focused on the sleek clock mounted on the wall, its hands moving with a seemingly deliberate slowness. The seconds ticked away, each one ringing in his mind like a countdown. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was a defining moment in his life, one that could either propel him into a dream or leave him stranded where he started. A few feet away, the receptionist, an older woman with impeccably styled hair, glanced up from her computer. Her sharp gaze seemed to scrutinize him, and Jack gave a tentative smile in return. She asked, her tone matter of fact. "Yes, I am," he replied, trying to inject a hint of confidence into his voice. "Take a seat. The CEO will be with you shortly," she said, her eyes already drifting back to the screen. Jack slid into one of the plush chairs, finding it difficult to relax. He shifted, adjusting his tie, trying to push away the nagging thoughts whispering doubts. Would he have enough experience? Would he make a lasting impression? It was easy to get lost in a sea of questions, each one heavier than the last. As Jack sat, he thought about the countless nights he had spent preparing for this day, practicing his answers, researching the company's values, and visualizing success. Still, none of it seemed to ease the tight grip of anxiety in his chest. Just then, the elevator door slid open and the air changed. The energy in the room shifted, drawing all eyes toward a figure stepping out. Jack's heart raced as he recognized Mr. Delgado, the formidable CEO. The man was a legendary figure, known for turning the company into a powerhouse of innovation. Mr. Delgado walked with purpose, exuding an aura of confidence that seemed to radiate throughout the lobby. He wore a tailored suit, crisp and sharp, moving like he owned the space around him. Jack's breath hitched as the CEO's gaze scanned the room, landing briefly on him. Mr. Delgado called, his voice deep and commanding. "Thank you for being here today." The rhythmic sound of his words settled over Jack like a warm blanket. For a split second, the intensity of his nerves faded, replaced by an electric anticipation. Would he be the one to impress this man? Would his dreams intersect with reality today? Mr. Delgado's voice cut through the chatter, and Jack felt as if the world had turned on a dime. Every nerve in Jack's body surged with adrenaline as he stood, his legs feeling slightly unsteady. The CEO walked ahead, his footsteps unyielding, and Jack followed closely behind, brimming with both pride and panic. As they entered the conference room, the sleek lines and sophisticated decor took his breath away. It felt like stepping onto a stage. "Please have a seat," Mr. Delgado gestured, his demeanor shifting to that of a mentor guiding an eager student. Jack sank into the chair, taking a moment to gather his thoughts as the door closed behind them, shutting the rest of the world out. "Tell me about yourself, Jack," Mr. Delgado began, leaning forward slightly. Jack took a deep breath, willing the nervous energy to transform into something powerful. I graduated from State University with a degree in marketing. The CEO nodded, clearly interested. Interesting. Jack's mind raced. I believe my drive for innovation stands out. He leaned forward, his heart pounding. A flicker of intrigue sparkled in Mr. Delgado's eyes. Storytelling is crucial, but let's talk about challenges. That question hit home, pulling Jack back to a project that had once spiraled out of control. He remembered the tension in the room, deadlines looming, panic spreading like wildfire. There was a campaign where we missed the target audience completely. I had taken a shortcut in research, thinking I understood our customers. When the project launched, it fell flat. Jack could feel the weight of honesty hang in the air, the vulnerability becoming a kind of strength. Mr. Delgado leaned back, arms crossed, a thoughtful smile spreading across his face. That level of accountability is rare. It shows you're ready to grow. Jack nodded, feeling the importance of each word. Absolutely. They fell into a rhythm, a conversation that felt almost like a dance. Mr. Delgado pushed Jack, challenging him to dig deeper into his beliefs and aspirations. Jack felt invigorated, alive in a way he hadn't felt in a long time. Jack, Mr. Delgado said, leaning closer. What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Jack took a moment, letting the question settle. He had often dreamed of this, envisioning a future where he wasn't just another worker but a leader, influencing significant change. In 5 years, I hope to be leading campaigns that don't just drive profits but also inspire people. The CEO's expression shifted, and Jack sensed a connection forming between them. For a moment, it seemed they shared the same vision, a similar passion, a lit fire that could ignite change. That's inspiring, Mr. Delgado said, sincerity shining through his gaze. But let's be real, the industry can be tough. Jack felt the weight of the question rest on his shoulders, but instead of shying away, clarity surged within him. Because I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe in collaboration and in fostering a culture where everyone's voice is heard. As he spoke, Jack could see Mr. Delgado nodding, the CEO clearly engaged by his passion. It filled him with resolve. This was more than just an answer. It was a declaration of his commitment to growth, teamwork, and a vision that extended beyond personal ambition. Those are admirable qualities, said Mr. Delgado, a hint of admiration creeping into his tone. Jack did not hesitate. I believe it's the ability to stay authentic in a time where people crave genuine connections. As technology evolves, we need to ensure we don't lose the human touch in our marketing. For a moment, silence enveloped the room, a soft weight settling in the air as Mr. Delgado considered Jack's response. Integrity is key, he finally said, breaking the stillness. Their conversation flowed seamlessly, a mutual exchange of visions for the future. Jack felt empowered, his confidence swelling as they delved into ideas, exploring challenges and solutions together. The minutes passed, and each tick of the clock brought new inspiration. As the interview approached its conclusion, Mr. Delgado leaned back, his brow furrowing in thought. Jack, you've impressed me today. I see potential, but know this, the road ahead will be filled with challenges. Absolutely, Jack replied without hesitation. I've faced my share of obstacles, and I know I have much to learn. Mr. Delgado extended his hand, and Jack gripped it firmly. Thank you for your honesty and enthusiasm. You've made a strong impression today. Walking out of the conference room, Jack felt a rush of exhilaration mixed with exhaustion, as if he had just conquered a mountain. The lobby looked different now, bright, welcoming, alive with potential. The earlier weight of anxiety had transformed, and each step felt lighter. As he stepped outside, the sun enveloped him, filling him with warmth. He took a deep breath, letting the sights and sounds wash over him. No matter the outcome of the interview, he felt changed. He had put all his vulnerabilities on the table and spoken his truth. That alone was a victory. Determined, key in hand, he brushed thoughts of doubt aside and embraced the future that lay ahead. Whether he received the job or not, Jack had stepped into a new chapter, one marked by strength, resilience, and an unyielding desire to grow. With every step along the busy street, the hum of the city rang with opportunity. The world felt bigger, brighter, and filled with promise. Jack knew that he would fight for his dreams, nurturing them with every ounce of passion he possessed. He didn't just wait at the front desk today. He took a leap into a future he was ready to embrace, one filled with endless possibilities. Waited at the front desk, heart pounding, palms slick against the dark wood surface. The lobby buzzed with activity candidates milling about, chatting nervously, their laughter ringing hollow in his ears. Jack could feel the weight of his dreams pressing down on him. Today was the day, a pivotal moment that could alter the trajectory of his life. As he looked around, the modernity of the space struck him. Sleek glass walls and vibrant artwork adorned the lobby, each piece telling a story of innovation and progress. Yet amidst the beauty, Jack felt small, barely a whisper in a symphony of ambition. He had spent the last few weeks preparing for this interview, rehearsing his lines, running through scenarios in his mind, but with every passing second, doubt crept in. He checked the clock, its hands moving too slowly as if mocking his eagerness. The noise of chattering candidates faded, consumed by the rhythm of his heart. He thought. His mind raced through 1,000 different fears, each one more unsettling than the last. The voice cut through the haze like a knife, and he turned to see the receptionist looking at him, her brows slightly raised. She asked, her tone direct. "Yes, I am," he managed to reply, forcing a smile despite the storm inside. "Have a seat. The CEO will be down shortly," she said, her eyes already darting back to her screen. Jack nodded and returned to his chair, feeling more like a mere cog in a machine than a hopeful candidate. As he sat, he observed the other candidates, each one projecting an air of confidence he envied. They shared stories, laughter spilling like sunlight across the cold floor. Jack tried to engage with their energy, but instead felt like an outsider watching a party through a window. Their ease reminded him of the stakes. He could almost hear the ticking of the clock, each tick pulling him deeper into anxiety. Just then, the elevator doors slid open and the atmosphere shifted. An undeniable energy filled the room as a tall figure stepped into the lobby. Jack's breath hitched. Mr. Delgado, the CEO, a man whose name resonated throughout the industry, associated with innovation and success. The legend had stepped into the spotlight. Mr. Delgado exuded an aura that commanded attention. His tailored suit fit him like armor, and each step was filled with purpose. As he scanned the room, his gaze landed on Jack. For a moment, it felt as if the world around them fell away, leaving only the two of them suspended in time. His voice rang out rich and inviting, yet possessing a gravity that made Jack tense. "Thank you for being here." Jack felt his heart race. Would he measure up in the eyes of this man? Would he be able to convey his passion, his vision? Mr. Delgado's voice cut through the noise, a direct command that both thrilled and terrified him. He barely had time to process the invitation before he stood, each step toward the CEO feeling both monumental and surreal. Jack followed him into a chic conference room, the door sliding shut behind them, sealing them in an intimate bubble of potential. "Take a seat," Mr. Delgado said, gesturing toward a sleek chair. Jack complied, placing his portfolio on the table, his hands trembling slightly as he settled in. "Let's start with you," the CEO said, leaning slightly forward, his gaze steady and attentive. Jack took a deep breath, transforming his nerves into focus. "I graduated from State University with a degree in marketing. Over the past 2 years, I've worked at a mid-sized firm where I led a team in various campaigns that boosted engagement by over 30%, he explained, feeling a flicker of confidence ignite as he spoke. Mr. Delgado nodded, eyes narrowing with interest. "That's impressive." Here it was, the question that mattered. "I've always admired how this company approaches innovation and creativity." "Believe in your vision and want to contribute to projects that make a difference," Jack replied, conviction growing in his voice. Mr. Delgado pressed, his tone serious yet engaged. Jack paused, considering the weight of the question. It's not just skill, it's about resilience and adaptability. Mr. Delgado leaned back, crossing his arms, a glimmer of respect dancing in his eyes. "I like that." The question hit home, and Jack recalled a particular project that had spiraled out of control. "There was a campaign we launched where we misjudged our target audience completely. I had shortcut our research, thinking I knew what they wanted. When we launched, the response was underwhelming," Jack admitted, cringing at the memory. "I felt devastated but learned that failure teaches you invaluable lessons." A thoughtful silence lingered in the room, the weight of his honesty hanging like a banner. Mr. Delgado tapped his fingers on the table, his expression turning contemplative. "That's the kind of accountability I value." Jack nodded, encouraged by the connection they were forming. "Absolutely. Each failure has been crucial for my personal and professional growth." "Tell me about where you see yourself in 5 years," Mr. Delgado asked, his voice serious but inviting. Jack took a moment, imagining the future he yearned for. "I see myself leading campaigns that drive not just sales but meaningful connections." Mr. Delgado's eyebrows raised, a flicker of admiration crossing his face. "That's commendable." Jack felt a rush of clarity. By staying curious, the best ideas emerge from asking the right questions and fostering collaboration. Mr. Delgado's gaze felt intense, scrutinizing every word. Jack didn't hesitate, maintaining authenticity in a digital age. With technology advancing so quickly, brands can sometimes lose the human touch. The air in the room charged with a tangible energy as Jack spoke. For a moment, it felt like they were discussing not just business, but the very fabric of connection and humanity. Mr. Delgado seemed engaged, nodding along, his expression reflecting understanding. As their conversation flowed, Jack felt emboldened. He shared his thoughts about the future of marketing, fueled by a genuine enthusiasm that radiated through every word. Mr. Delgado countered with questions that pushed Jack to think beyond surface-level answers, prompting him to explore the deeper implications of his beliefs. "Jack," Mr. Delgado said eventually, leaning in with a thoughtful expression, "what sets you apart?" In that moment, Jack felt the pressure, but instead of crumbling, he met the challenge head-on. "Because I bring a unique perspective rooted in empathy and collaboration. I listen, I observe, and I act based on the pulse of the audience." Mr. Delgado's expression shifted, a mix of intrigue and respect. "That's a compelling argument. I appreciate your honesty, but remember, it's a tough world out there." "Yes," Jack replied firmly, the conviction growing in his voice. I've faced difficulties in my career before, and I believe I am prepared to tackle whatever comes my way. Mr. Delgado extended his hand, a gesture of finality but also connection. You've impressed me today, Jack. I see potential in you. As Jack walked out of the conference room, a wave of exhilaration washed over him. The lobby no longer felt daunting. It was filled with opportunities, colors pulsing with life. He could almost taste the promise of what lay ahead. Before leaving the building, he took a moment to breathe deeply, soaking in the ambience of possibility. The sunlight streamed through the glass, illuminating his face and filling him with warmth. This was more than just an interview, it was a turning point in his life. Jack stepped outside and felt the world shift. He walked down the bustling street, filled with people going about their day, but suddenly he felt different. His heart beat with newfound confidence, each step ringing with purpose. He remembered the conversations, the moments where vulnerability turned to strength. Today had been about far more than just impressing a CEO. It had been about discovering his own voice and the value he could bring to a team. As he turned a corner, the weight on his shoulders felt lighter, almost non-existent. Jack smiled at the realization that he was ready to embrace whatever came next, whether that meant a follow-up call or another opportunity entirely. The future was waiting, bright and full of promise. No longer was he just a hopeful candidate. He was a player in the game, armed with experience and the conviction to chase his dreams. In that moment, he knew he was on the precipice of something great, believing wholeheartedly in his path and the adventure that lay ahead. He didn't just wait at the front desk today. He stepped into a future defined by purpose, grit, and an unwavering desire to make a difference. Each step forward was a testament to his journey, ready to take on the world, one calculated move at a time. He waited at the front desk, tension coiling in his stomach like a tightly wound spring. The lobby hummed with life, bright lights shining down on polished floors, where candidates roamed like nervous birds before a storm. Jack could feel the rhythm of his heart pounding against his ribcage, a relentless reminder of the gravity of this moment. Across the room, a group of applicants stood, their laughter ringing out, effortlessly blending confidence with camaraderie. Jack felt the creeping shadow of doubt settle over him. What if he didn't belong here? What if he stumbled over his words? With each passing second, those thoughts swirled in his mind, tightening their grip. He glanced up at the grand clock on the wall, its hands gliding with a slow, mocking precision. Time seemed to stretch out, each second turning into hours. He could almost hear the ticking echoing like a metronome, counting down the moments until decisions would be made. The receptionist, a stern woman with sharp eyes, finally looked up from her computer. She asked, her voice crisp and clipped. Jack nodded, forcing a smile. "Take a seat. The CEO will be with you shortly," she said, her attention already shifting back to her screen. Jack sank into the plush chair, his thoughts racing in tandem with the pounding in his chest. This was it, his shot at a new beginning. The company had a reputation for sparking innovation, and he dreamed of working here since he'd first heard about its transformative projects. Yet the prospect of speaking to the CEO, the very person at the helm of that innovation, felt as daunting as standing at the edge of a cliff. A few feet away, another candidate caught his eye. She was animated, gesturing wildly as she spoke, her confidence radiating in waves. Jack felt the well of anxiety within him churn. Perhaps he should have spent more time rehearsing, refining his pitch until it was flawless. Every thought racing through his mind was a double-edged sword, driving him, but also grounding him in the fear of failure. And then, as if time itself had decided to play a cruel trick, the elevator doors slid open with a soft ding. An electric hush fell over the lobby, all eyes locked on the figure stepping out. Jack's heart stopped. It was Mr. Delgado, the CEO, the face of the very innovation that excited him. Mr. Delgado radiated confidence, dressed in a sleek suit that defined authority. His steps were sure, his posture impeccable, commanding attention without uttering a word. Jack's breath quickened, his mind racing with admiration and terror. Would he be able to impress this man? Would his chance finally arrive? "Good morning, everyone." Mr. Delgado's voice was a powerful wave that washed over the lobby. Jack stood rooted in place, the moment feeling surreal and electric. Mr. Delgado's gaze swept through the room, and then, as if sensing Jack's presence, he paused, locking eyes with him. The world narrowed, condensing to just those two individuals in a whirl of emotion. Jack fought the urge to look away. Came the command, clear as day. Jack felt a rush of adrenaline as he walked toward the CEO. Each step was heavy, yet filled with purpose. This moment was years in the making. He followed Mr. Delgado into the conference room, where the air felt charged, ready for the unfolding conversation. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing off the chaos of the lobby. "Have a seat," Mr. Delgado said, gesturing to a sleek chair at the conference table. Jack dropped into it, feeling the tremor of his hands as he placed his portfolio on the table, a shield against the unknown. "Let's talk about you," Mr. Delgado began, his gaze penetrating. Jack took a deep breath, his mind racing to prioritize his many thoughts. "I graduated from State University with a focus on marketing. In my last position, I led a team on several successful campaigns, one of which increased brand engagement by 30%, he began, each word carefully crafted yet flowing naturally from his lips. Mr. Delgado nodded, leaning in slightly. That's a strong start. Jack's heart raced. This was the pivotal moment. Always been inspired by your commitment to innovation and social responsibility. I believe marketing can bridge gaps, unite people, and create real change. A flicker of intrigue sparked in Mr. Delgado's eyes. Jack felt the gears turning in his mind. It's about resilience and adaptability. The landscape is always changing, and those who can pivot quickly will thrive. Mr. Delgado leaned back in his chair, hands clasped. Jack's cheeks warmed as he recalled the setbacks he'd experienced. There was a project where my team and I missed the mark on our audience's needs. We launched without thorough research, and the reception was less than favorable. Instead of hiding, I took accountability. A silence hung in the air, heavy with the weight of vulnerability, but Jack felt lighter for sharing. Mr. Delgado's expression softened, a glimmer of appreciation appearing in his gaze. Their conversation continued to flow effortlessly, and Jack felt the tension slide away. The room transformed into a sanctuary of ideas where passion met ambition. As the minutes morphed into an engaging dialogue, Jack shared his thoughts on the rapidly changing world, not just what worked, but what could work. Jack, Mr. Delgado said eventually, his tone shifting to one of curiosity. Jack's heart swelled with determination. In 5 years, I see myself leading projects that not only drive results, but also convey authentic stories. Mr. Delgado nodded thoughtfully. There's something powerful about storytelling. Jack didn't hesitate. Staying authentic in the digital age, we're flooded with information, but genuine connection is invaluable. People crave sincerity. Mr. Delgado's appraising look reinforced Jack's belief in his vision. You're right, it's a constant balancing act. We want to innovate while maintaining the core values that resonate with our audience. As they continued to discuss their thoughts about the industry, Jack marveled at the exchange. This wasn't merely an interview, it was a lively brainstorming session. Ideas transferred back and forth like a dance, each pivot enriching the conversation. The synergy built felt palpable, fueling his conviction. Then Mr. Delgado leaned closer, a serious glint in his eyes. Jack felt the quiver of pressure but faced it head-on. I approach challenges with empathy. I seek to understand the why behind every project. That's a powerful perspective, Jack, Mr. Delgado said, a hint of admiration on his face. But the industry is ruthless. Absolutely, Jack replied, his voice steady with conviction. I've faced setbacks and will continue to learn from each experience. The CEO extended his hand, the gesture both formal and personal. You've left a strong impression on me today, Jack. I see potential in you. As Jack walked out of the conference room, exhilaration coursed through his veins. The lobby buzzed again, but Jack felt different, lighter, more alive. He had poured his heart out in that room and forged a connection he never would have anticipated. Stepping into the crisp air outside, the sun shone down brightly. It felt as if the world had transformed. Jack took a deep breath, letting the fresh air fill his lungs before letting a satisfied smile break across his face. Today had meant more than just a potential job. It was about showing up fully as himself. He wandered down the bustling street, eyebrows raised in a newfound sense of purpose. The weight of self-doubt seemed to dissolve, replaced with an excitement for what lay ahead. Whether or not he got the job didn't matter as much as the realization that he had found his voice amidst the chaos. Reflecting on the exchange with Mr. Delgado, he felt proud. He had not only confronted his fears, but had also addressed the bigger picture: innovation, authenticity, and collaboration. He had stepped outside his comfort zone and shared insights and passions with someone he admired. As Jack continued down the busy sidewalk, the city buzzed around him, alive with possibility. He could almost hear the echoes of the conversation in his mind, a rhythmic reminder that he was capable, ready to face whatever challenges came. He hadn't just waited at the front desk, he had stepped into a new chapter of his life. With each stride, he was filled with the confidence that he was preparing to embrace a future defined by choice, passion, and unwavering determination. The journey had only just begun, and Jack felt empowered, ready to carve his own path in the world ahead. He waited at the front desk, feeling like a small stone balanced on the edge of a vast cliff, teetering between hope and fear. The lobby buzzed with energy, filled with bright lights and polished walls, but Jack felt colder than the chilly air blowing from the vents above. This was his opportunity, but each second stretched out like an eternity. Jack took a glimpse around. Candidates were mingling, their voices mingling in a lively chorus of hope and ambition. Each one seemed more confident than the next, their laughter ringing out louder than his own nervous thoughts. He shifted in his seat, feeling like an outsider at a party he had desperately wanted to attend. He stole a glance at the clock, watching its hands tick forward with deliberate slowness. The digital display seemed to mock him, each movement a reminder of the precious moments slipping away. Today wasn't just another interview, it was a defining moment, perhaps the turning point he had long waited for, and yet doubt coiled around his mind like ivy, threatening to suffocate him. Came a voice, sharp but not unkind. He turned to find the receptionist watching him, her brow slightly arched. "Yes, I am," he replied, trying to maintain a veneer of calm, though inside his heart raced like a drum. "Have a seat. The CEO will be down shortly," she said, her attention shifting back to her computer. Jack nodded and sank back into his chair, feeling the plush leather envelop him but providing no comfort. He glanced at the other candidates again. Confident laughter filled the air, and he wished he could share in their ease. Instead, that familiar pit of anxiety settled more firmly in his gut. What if he wasn't good enough? What if he flubbed his lines or couldn't answer tough questions? He had practiced countless scenarios, but they all seemed to fade in the shadow of this moment. Suddenly, the elevator doors slid open and the atmosphere in the room transformed. A palpable tension filled the air as all eyes turned. Jack's heart raced as if the entire lobby had collectively gasped. There stood Mr. Delgado, the CEO, a figure so iconic in the industry that his mere presence was enough to send waves of electricity through the space. Clad in a sharply tailored suit, Mr. Delgado strode into the lobby, a living embodiment of authority and charisma. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Here was a man who had built an empire with his vision and tenacity. Would he see that same drive in Jack? Mr. Delgado's voice rang out, rich and filled with warmth. "Thank you for coming." The calmness in his voice contrasted sharply with Jack's whirlwind of emotions. Mr. Delgado called, his gaze landing on Jack with a magnetic pull. The call was more electrifying than any alarm bell. Jack stood, his legs feeling slightly wobbly as he walked toward the CEO. This was it, the moment he had prepared for, hoped for, yet now it felt surreal. Each step resonated with both excitement and trepidation. Once inside the conference room, Jack felt the weight of the world settle on his shoulders. This was it, a meeting that could shift the trajectory of his life. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing them into a realm where the stakes felt impossibly high. "Take a seat," Mr. Delgado said, gesturing toward a sleek chair at the polished table. Jack sank into the chair, his mind racing as anticipation coursed through him. "Let's talk about you," the CEO began, his voice steady and inviting. Jack swallowed hard, mustering the courage to share his story. "I graduated from State University with a degree in marketing. I've spent the last 2 years working at a mid-sized firm where I led campaigns focused on building brand loyalty and increasing engagement." Mr. Delgado nodded, leaning forward with interest sparking in his eyes. "That's a strong start." Jack took a deep breath, heart racing. This was his chance to express his passion. "I've always admired how this company pushes boundaries and seeks to create real change in the world." Mr. Delgado's expression shifted, curiosity glimmering beneath the surface. Jack felt the fog of anxiety lifting, replaced by clarity. It's about resilience and creativity. The landscape changes rapidly, and those who succeed are the ones who can adapt and think outside the box. Mr. Delgado leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms. Jack couldn't help but notice how he exuded an air of contemplation. The question struck a chord, and Jack felt the tension rise. He remembered a project that had gone horribly wrong, a campaign where he had misjudged the audience's needs. Instead of burying the experience, he had gathered his team to analyze what had happened. "We took accountability, reevaluated our approach, and ultimately turned the project around. It was an invaluable learning experience," he shared, the honesty lifting the weight of regret from his shoulders. "Honesty and accountability are rare qualities," Mr. Delgado mused, tapping his fingers lightly on the table as he considered Jack's words. Jack took a moment to envision his future. "I want to be leading projects that don't just drive profit but create strong emotional connections with audiences." The CEO smiled, clearly impressed. "That's a commendable vision." The question felt both challenging and exciting. Maintaining authenticity in a world inundated with noise. In marketing, it's easy to lose sight of genuine connections when profits take precedence. Mr. Delgado nodded, the weight of Jack's perspective evident in his expression. Jack started to regain confidence, feeling a connection forming between them as they shared insight about the industry's struggles. For a moment, it felt less like an interview and more like a collaborative exploration. Mr. Delgado pressed, his tone serious, leaving no room for evasion. It was the challenging moment Jack had anticipated. He felt the intense weight of vulnerability settle in his stomach, but he met the gaze of the CEO without flinching. "Because I'm committed to driving change by fostering an environment of creativity and collaboration." The CEO's eyes glimmered, perhaps reflecting respect or challenge. "That's a strong perspective, but remember, the industry is ruthless." Jack's heart raced, adrenaline coursing through him as determination took hold. "Yes, I am." His voice felt steadier now, a conviction rising within him. To his surprise, Mr. Delgado leaned in closer, his expression softening. "You've impressed me today, Jack. It's rare to see such passion and clarity." The handshake that followed felt monumental, sealing the moment with unspoken understandings. Jack walked out of the conference room, his heart light, his breath coming easy. He was buoyed by a sense of accomplishment, no longer feeling like an imposter. As he stepped back into the lobby, the vibrancy of the space washed over him. Colors seemed brighter, the chatter felt warmer. The earlier weight of insecurity had vanished, replaced by exhilaration. He had opened up, revealed his vulnerabilities, and in doing so, he had found strength. Jack stepped outside, the sun breaking through the clouds, wrapping him in its embrace. The world buzzed with life cars honking, people rushing, the warmth of possibility in the air. He had started the day with trepidation but walked away feeling limitless. Each step felt lighter, a symbolic release of the fears that had clung to him. Jack didn't know what the future held, but he knew he had faced this pivotal moment with an honesty that could propel him forward. As he made his way down the street, he saw the city alive with opportunities. The hum of the world around him felt invigorating, almost electric. Every step resonated with purpose, reminding him that he was on the brink of something significant. Reflecting on his conversation with Mr. Delgado, Jack realized he wasn't just waiting at the front desk. He had stepped into a transformative experience, turning vulnerability into strength and doubt into determination. With every stride, he felt the weight of ambition settle on his shoulders like a protective cloak. This was just the beginning, and he was ready to face whatever challenges awaited, armed with newfound confidence and a vision for the future. For Jack, this day had become more than just a chance at employment. It was a testament to his resilience and the power of embracing vulnerability. He hadn't merely stepped into a world of opportunity, he had seized it, igniting a desire to forge his own path. He walked along bustling streets, feeling empowered and alive, ready to shape his own destiny one bold step at a time. This moment marked a new beginning, a journey filled with potential as vast and limitless as the sky above him. He waited at the front desk, his pulse quickening with each tick of the clock. The lobby buzzed with life, an orchestra of chatter and laughter surrounding him like a thick fog. Jack's heart raced, pounding louder than the sound of footsteps echoing across the polished marble floor. This was it, the moment that could change everything. As he looked around, the modern decor caught his eye, bright lights illuminating sleek furniture and vibrant art that seemed to pulsate with energy. But amidst the hustle of other candidates, Jack felt small, almost invisible. Each person he saw was a picture of confidence, while he felt like a mere shadow. He tucked a loose strand of hair behind his ear, nervously adjusting his tie for the third time. "It's just an interview," he whispered to himself, hoping to silence the doubt that clawed at his mind. The energy in the room crackled with nervous anticipation, but Jack battled his anxiety like a warrior stepping into the arena. Suddenly, the receptionist looked up, her expression neutral yet commanding. She asked, glancing at a clipboard before her. "Yes, that's me," he replied, forcing a smile, his voice slightly wavering. "Have a seat, the CEO will be with you shortly," she said, turning her attention back to her work. Jack sank into a plush chair, feeling the weight of expectation bear down on him. He took a moment to collect his thoughts, inhaling deeply. This was it, the culmination of months of preparation, of sleepless nights spent studying the company's mission and rehearsing his answers until they felt second nature. A steady stream of candidates wandered in and out, smiles plastered on their faces as they shared eager conversations. Jack's stomach twisted at the sight. Beneath their casual confidence, did they feel the same dread he did, or were they all convinced they would secure the job? The clock on the wall seemed to slow, every tick echoing like a heartbeat in a silent room. Jack's mind wandered, exploring the different possibilities. What if he stumbled over his words? What if he failed to impress Mr. Delgado, the formidable CEO whose reputation loomed over everything like a giant? And yet, even through the anxiety, a flicker of determination ignited within him. Jack reminded himself of why he was here. He had dreamed of this opportunity to join a company at the forefront of innovation. He had always believed he could make a difference, and today he would prove it. Then it happened. The elevator door slid open with a soft ping, and the energy in the room shifted instantly. All eyes turned as Mr. Delgado stepped into the lobby, a striking figure whose presence filled the space with palpable authority. Clad in a tailored suit, he moved with purpose, exuding a confidence that transformed the atmosphere. Jack's breath hitched as the CEO scanned the room, his gaze landing on Jack for a brief moment, an electric connection that sent a shiver down his spine. Expectations hung thick in the air as Mr. Delgado approached, his stride assured and deliberate. He called out, his voice booming yet warm. Every word wrapped around Jack like a blanket of urgency. The moment felt monumental, each syllable weighing heavily on his heart as he felt the silent plea of hope. Would he have what it took to impress this man? Mr. Delgado said, his voice slicing through the ambience like a knife. Jack found himself standing, the ground beneath him suddenly feeling unsteady. "Come with me," Mr. Delgado commanded, and the world faded into the background. Jack could barely focus on the path as he followed the CEO down the corridor, each step echoing with promise and panic. Inside the conference room, with its sleek design and oversized view of the city skyline, reality settled around Jack like marrying excitement with anxiety. This was the moment he had worked for, yet uncertainty gnawed at him more than ever. "Take a seat," Mr. Delgado said, gesturing toward a chair at the table. Jack lowered himself into it, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on his shoulders. "Let's begin. Tell me about yourself," Mr. Delgado prompted, his expression unreadable. Jack felt his heart race as if it could leap out of his chest. "I graduated with a degree in marketing. I've spent the last 2 years at a startup where I spearheaded campaigns that significantly increased customer engagement, he said, each word flowing more smoothly as he found a rhythm. Mr. Delgado nodded, his eyes glinting with interest. Jack took a breath, summoning the conviction that had brought him here. I admire how your company is innovating the industry. I followed your projects closely, and I believe I can contribute ideas that will push boundaries. Interesting, Mr. Delgado replied, leaning forward. Jack's mind raced, the question penetrating deeply. It's about understanding the audience. Those who thrive are the ones who can adapt, pivot when things don't go as planned, and learn from failures. Mr. Delgado smiled slightly, clearly impressed. Jack felt the familiar pang of vulnerability, but he pushed through. There was a campaign that I thought would be a surefire success. Instead, it missed the mark completely. Our messaging didn't resonate with our audience. Instead of playing the blame game, I gathered my team. Mr. Delgado nodded thoughtfully. That's a valuable lesson. Jack felt a wave of relief wash over him. The air felt lighter as he continued to share his insights. The conversation flowed smoothly like a dance, each question opening another door to explore. Mr. Delgado asked, leaning back in his chair, I see myself leading innovative projects that not only drive profit but also inspire. I want to cultivate a culture where everyone feels their voice matters, Jack explained, feeling excitement rise as he articulated his dreams. That's ambitious, Mr. Delgado replied, a small smile playing on his lips. Jack steadied himself, ready for the challenge. Because I'm not just looking for a job, I'm passionate about making real connections. I believe in fostering a collaborative environment where creativity thrives. Mr. Delgado's brow furrowed in thought. You bring up some solid points, but understand that the road ahead is tough. The words hung heavily in the air. Jack felt a surge of adrenaline. I've faced challenges before, and I'm ready to embrace more. After a moment that felt frozen in time, Mr. Delgado leaned forward, closing the distance between them. You've made a strong impression, Jack. I see potential in you, but let's be real. Success is a journey filled with twists and turns. Jack tilted his head slightly, contemplating the gravity of the moment. By staying true to my values and remaining humble, I understand that every step on this journey is a learning experience. Mr. Delgado nodded slowly, digesting Jack's words, a spark of intrigue in his gaze. You're more than just another candidate to me, Jack. As Jack stood to leave, the tension in his body uncoiled a little. Hope washed over him, mixed with a touch of apprehension. He extended his hand, feeling the strength of Mr. Delgado's grip. That moment lingered, holding the promise of possibilities. But Jack hesitated, feeling the weight of what he had just put on the table. What if he hadn't said enough? What if another candidate had wowed Mr. Delgado? Doubts crept back in, slithering through the facade he had crafted so carefully. Before you go, Mr. Delgado's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling Jack back into focus. I want to challenge you. Jack's heart raced once more, a creeping sense of foreboding mixed with curiosity. What challenge lay ahead? I need you to present a plan for our upcoming project, Mr. Delgado said, his tone like iron. Jack's blood ran cold, a swirling mix of fear and excitement flooding through him. He hadn't expected that this was not just an interview but a summons to prove himself further. Consider this your moment to shine, Mr. Delgado added, his gaze unwavering, locking onto Jack's with an intensity that made the air in the room feel electric. With a steadying breath, Jack nodded, determination igniting in his chest. As he stepped out of the conference room, the weight of expectations hung heavier now. Jack was no longer just a candidate, he was part of something significant, a quest for innovation. He walked down the hall feeling invigorated yet daunted by the challenges ahead, the city skyline gleaming through the glass, a representation of everything he aspired to. With the world waiting just outside, Jack knew this was just the beginning of a battle. The cliff he stood upon was high, but the view promised an adventure he was ready to embrace, even if uncertainty lingered like a whisper in his ear. Would he soar or would he fall? Only time would tell, and Jack knew he had to prepare fiercely for whatever lay ahead. Each step echoed with a mix of promise and anxiety. The journey had only just begun.